Their meeting wasn't an algorithmic error, but someone's ill will. Victoria, an art historian from Moscow, married to the influential but cold gallery owner Maxim, received an invitation to a closed webinar for experts on Flemish painting. Alexander, a talented geologist from Vancouver working for a major mining company, was married to Emily, a brilliant but perpetually busy lawyer. The invitation to a technical seminar on new exploration methods came from the director's personal email address. A system glitch? No. They found themselves in the same virtual room, tellingly named Room 13. There was no moderator. In complete silence, they saw each other on their screens. She, with carefully coiffed hair and a forced smile in front of an expensive painting in her husband's office. He, in a simple t-shirt against a backdrop of maps in his home office, his eyes tired but lively. They began chatting, trying to understand the misunderstanding. They exchanged names. Moscow? Amazing! I was born in Moscow, Alexander wrote. I left with my parents when I was 10. It was the first click. The conversation flowed naturally, like long-awaited rain in the desert. They talked for 3 hours, forgetting time, continents, and spouses. The next day, Victoria found a printed screenshot of their video call on her desktop, with the camera on. Next to it lay a note from her husband, Maxim. You have an interesting expert in your webinar, Vika. Be careful with virtual friends. They can have real consequences. A chill ran down her spine. How did he know? That same day, Alexander received an urgent, unsubstantiated request from his superiors for an extended business trip to a remote region without reliable service. His wife, Emily, looking through his phone, something she had never done before, asked indifferently, "Who is this Victoria from Russia? Do you have a new client?" It became clear. They had not been brought together by chance. Someone wanted to compromise or provoke them. Perhaps a competitor of Victoria's husband trying to expose his shady dealings with counterfeit paintings by pressuring his wife. Or a colleague of Alexander's wanting to take his place before an important project, undermining him in the eyes of his strict management. Paranoia and attraction were tightly intertwined. The meeting in Prague was their rebellion and a test. If this was a trap, it would spring here. They met on Charles Bridge in a crowd of tourists looking over their shoulders. 3 days were a mixture of absolute happiness and nervous tension. Alexander noticed that a man in a grey coat was clearly following them. Victoria received an anonymous text message on a Russian number. Enjoy Prague, it's beautiful there in the fall, Maxim. They decided to play by their own rules. On their last evening in their hotel room, Alexander hugged her and said, I don't know who started this game, but we're going to finish it. I'm leaving, I'm moving, we'll be together, and if anyone thinks they can manipulate this, they're mistaken. The divorces became a war. Maxim, using his connections, tried to deprive Victoria of her money and reputation, hinting at her inadequacy and an affair with a foreign spy. Emily, taking Alexander's departure as a personal insult, threatened to sue him and deny him the right to see their future children, even though they had none. But it was precisely this cruelty on both sides that finally brought Victoria and Alexander together. They kept a diary, documented all the threats, hired lawyers, and acted as a team, supporting each other even though they were 9 hours apart. When Victoria finally received her visa and flew to Vancouver, Alexander met her not with flowers, but with a printout. It was an email sent to his former boss. The anonymous sender, clearly the same grey jacket from Prague, admitted that he had arranged that chance meeting at Maxim's behest in order to obtain dirt on Victoria and blackmail her husband, but had changed his mind. The affair ended, leaving them in peace, but without revealing all their cards. They bought a small house by the ocean. A map of Russia now hangs in his office, and lilacs and Canadian maples grow in her garden. And when the test showed 2 lines, they cried and laughed. Their child is not the product of a secret conspiracy, but a conscious, difficult, and incredible choice made by 2 adults who found each other in the very centre of someone else's game, and decided to play for only one team, their family. Now their story begins anew, and they are writing it themselves.